Some shocking news. I like Raging Blast 2. I know. You don't have to click off yet. I know you're disappointed, but let me explain. One of the series that I had planned for this channel was the commentary style videos, where I explain aspects about the game and things that I like about it, and why I think it's one of the greatest games Dragon Ball has released up to yet. You know, the series will kind of interrupt the 1v5s against very hard enhanced CPUs, and this is why I wanted to leave it till after I finished all the characters to then talk about how cool the game is. But seeing as demand has increased over time for people to like ask, which isn't a bad thing per se, you know, I'm here to ask for like commentary style videos and things explaining the game. And this was just something to clear, you know, the air. I plan to make multiple videos of this. I don't know how frequently, I don't know how many I'll make or for how long. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to Raging Blast 2. With that out of the way, I thought I'd give you a little teaser of what's to come, talking about my personal reason, one of the best reasons why Raging Blast 2 is such a great game, the item and customization system that they imply. To start things off and to really just encapsulate everything that items hold, and trust me, items is a very broad term to say the least. To make it short and comprehensible, I'll separate it into 3 parts, and I guess we'll talk about specifics later if you guys ask. First of all, I'll talk about why items are so cool in Raging Blast 2 and why not really any game comes close to how well they were done in this game. Then I'll talk about I'll give you the actual list of the items so you can see for yourself how they work and what they do. And then I'll show you an example of one of my custom created characters so you can really see the creative process and how, you know, they work. First off, there are 3 very key reasons why I like items in Raging Blast 2 a lot. The first off being that they are very rewarding for what you actually put on, right? You get rewarded a lot for your creativity because there's a lot of options to choose from, and depending on what you pick, you might feel more satisfied. And the most important thing is that whenever you make an item, or an item created character per se, it actually is as good as you make them. You know what I mean? Like, the more thought you put into your character and the more creative you are, the better he'll come out and the stronger he'll be, which, you know, rewards you for putting in the time and really working out the kinks for characters. And you might not even be satisfied with making the items once, you might want to make them multiple times. And that's the second part why I like items so much, the replayability. I played this game for a very long time, and I changed the items as many times as I played it, right? Goku, I think, has had an item change like 5 times, and it's changed for different reasons each and every time. As more understanding about the game comes, and the more that you like a character, or you want to do a specific function, it'll work for that. Third thing, they have actual penalties for you putting on correct items. What I mean by this is that when you make a character, you give it weaknesses, which I guess I'll explain more as I explain like the item system as a whole in the second part. But basically you have a limited amount of items. And those items can be debuffs, which are necessary for you to put on in order to make your characters actually good, and I'll get more into that later. Basically, you actually have bad things for your character that you have to put on purpose. So you can pick what your character's bad at, right? And it's not really that much of a debuff at that point because you can work around that like weakness, you know? And that's what makes it extremely creative and like really forces you to think outside the box, and it makes it really cool. Again, there's so much to say about the items in this game, but I don't want to make a 40-minute video, so we'll move on to the next point. Alright, now let me full screen this, and yeah, now this is the practical version of the video. Let's go to Ultimate Customize and see how we can do to itemize a character. Alright. Go to items, and here you have all the magic happens. As you can see, there's a pretty... I'll explain everything one by one. The power level actually doesn't really mean anything in this game. This is a number that like limits the items that you use even more. Because, I guess I'll go, you can actually have power battles, right? So you can only have a limited amount of power level per team. And you can equip as many characters as you want as long as their item or their power level, as you can see right there, doesn't exceed 100. So you can have one guy with 100 power level, or 3 guys with like 33 power level each, and stuff like that. So the power level is literally just something to limit yourself to characters, which is unfortunate, but you know, you can obviously not play with power levels, and it does give a more interesting take on customizing characters, which honestly, now that I think about it, is a lot better of a creative choice. The limit points are the points that you actually use to put on items here. When you put on an item, let's use Rush Attack Up, you got to use 3 points for that. And once you use up all your limit points, that's how many items you can equip. The second thing that limits you from equipping items is the storage. Right now you have, let's count them right now with me together. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 10. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, exactly 10, exactly 10. So you can equip 10 items per character and per transformation. I can't really switch because Nail doesn't have any transformations. If you could transform, then you would have another 10 slots to equip when you would transform into that character, which is the only realistic way to actually get stronger as you transform. Which you know, I guess I'll get into another video because, you know, transformations in this game are another can of worms. The bar on the right is just a representation of what you'll actually buff. If you buff something in the melee section, your melee bar will go up. It doesn't really mean much of anything. It's not an actual percentage increase that like you have. It really just depends on the items that you actually put on. Now that you understand what the menu looks like and how items actually work, let's start not here, but let's go to the accessory section and the ability down section. Here we have a bunch of nerfs for your character. As you can see, they cost 0, and they have a very specific condition that they all tell you before you actually equip it, which says that max value of limit points increases. So when you put any of these on, as you can see at the right, you can see how many will get removed. I normally have 39, but the number of things that you can actually equip increase the more nerfs you get. So by nerfing your character, you can actually make him stronger in a lot of other things, which makes it a very creative pick. So this is where you would go to get more points if you needed them. Going back to the actual items, we have rush attacks. Rush attacks are just the regular X attacks that you do to start off combos. Charge attacks are just the attacks you get by holding the attack button, you know. Smash attacks are what you get when you press the X and the Y to get like a strong type of attack. Obviously they can be activated with different buttons, but typically you get them by pressing X and then Y. This increases the damage of your throws. Quick throw is very interesting. When you throw someone and they tech it by pressing the block button exactly when they get hit with the throw. Normally what they would do is just get knocked back, but once they get knocked back, they can grab again. Reduced time is for the smash attacks, which is by holding X. So you'll need less time in order to charge your X moves, and for cost 5 is pretty great. Snap Charger, charging attacks in this game give you different properties for your attacks, and the best type of attack is a snap attack, which is if you hold the button into the perfect time in the middle of the attack, your character will vanish and they'll appear, and that attack is also unblockable, by the way. So it's just a better version of the charge attack. And the problem is that it's harder to execute, but this item right here makes it easier. This extends the time that you actually put opponents in the wall tension, where you knock them up to a wall with a grab. And the amount of damage that you do can also be increased with this item. The pursuit attacks are the attacks, and you can notice that there's different types of pursuit attacks, are the attacks that you do after knockback, where you just press like the X key in a direction, or you dash up to the opponent and then you use an attack. You can increase the amount of pursuit attacks you do by putting on one of these items. This increases the damage of what the snap attack does, which is the attack where you perfectly time it, Extreme Rush is one of the best of these. It increases the rush attack damage by a massive amount, even more than rush attack up L. You can also see with this like brief description that I gave you that there are not only items that buff your stats, there are also items that change the properties of your moves and make them better. For example, this next one, Smash Counter, whenever you counter an attack, which if you press block and Y in the regular button inputs, you do a counter, and if you time it perfectly, you get to vanish behind the opponent and do a knockback attack. But with this one, you do a smash attack instead, which leads to better combo. Raging Soul attack up just increases damage from your Raging Soul. And Serious is very interesting. Whenever you lose a health bar, your attack goes up. I'm not sure by what amount or what percentage, but it does go up significantly because I can tell the difference, right? With key types, it mostly depends on how much ki you charge, but there are different ones that increase the attack of your ki, like your Ki Blast, the attack goes up. When you're in high tension, it increases your Ki Blast, only in high tension, which is great. This can also increase the speed of your Ki Blast. It doesn't actually increase damage, just the ability to actually, be a Ki Blast. It gives it way better homing ability, and different stuff like that. It also decreases the amount of ki that you use when you use a Ki Blast, which is also really good. Which again, plays into the fact that not all items here buff stats. Some of these are for better attacks, which is great. Rush Ki Recover, whenever you use a rush attack, which is just the regular X attacks, if you remember correctly, you gain ki. This just increases the ki that you gain from those. And Ki Charge Speed Up is fully self-explanatory, you charge ki faster. Dash secrets and these half keys are very interesting because you can make different attacks in this game cost absolutely no ki, which is great. And it doesn't really buff your stats, but it actually gives you a way better use for your ki since you can really use these while having no ki, which is very essential for a character, right? And this also goes for counter, super risings, and signature skills don't have a free version, which is great. But they do have a half option, which is also fantastic. You can decrease the ki that it actually takes to transform, though not completely. And this, in ki control, decreases the amount of ki used by half, which is a great skill. But only on supers or ultimate attacks, not on universal skills. Destruction Ki Recover, when you destroy an item, you get some ki. Super Guard Ki Recover, whenever you deflect or like you block a super attack and then you dash next to it, you gain ki. The Ki Auto Recover, it gives you a little bit of ki. This is basically what the androids have. You know how androids don't actually charge their ki in this game. They can only charge it to high tension. You get that passive that androids get when they don't have to charge their ki, they just get ki over time. In Battle Drive, you start the ki gauge completely filled. You get to expend your high tension, and then you can also start with high tension, right? This one also gives you high tension when you have 1 bar of health left, great comeback mechanic. And it gives you high tension when you're going to blow a shot exchange, which is also really good. This extends the time where you actually use your Raging Soul, which means that it consumes less ki. Mind Breaker, it costs your opponent ki during a guard crush, which just means that whenever you break someone's guard, it might cost them a good amount of ki. I think it's about 1/4 of a bar. It's really good. Gigantic Power, it gives it even more ki reduction, right? Basically the same thing. And you can do the same thing with throws, and Attitude gives you ki every time you lose a health bar. I think it's about 1/5 of a bar, which is actually pretty great considering that it's every single time you lose a bar of ki, right? And it's stacked, so even if you have a health auto recover, which we'll get into later, and you go up a bar in ki, it also counts as you passing the threshold for losing ki, for losing a health bar. So you get more ki when you gain health bars as well. Alright, so here we have a very short section. The super attack section is one of the smallest. Look at how many items are here. Well, you can't really see that, but there are very few amount of items here, right? We have the super attack power up, the ultimate attack power up. These are very self-explanatory, obviously. This one is the health bar loss for super attacks and ultimate attacks. 18's Kiss makes your ultimates unblockable. Not that really good unless you have an explosion attack. In that case, that's busted. And this one turns this one's specific for Goku, and it turns the Spirit Bomb into, the one that killed Kid Buu and the one that beat up Frieza. Here we have defense items, which is one of the most expansive sections. Defense up, pretty self-explanatory. Health up S, which is one that most people find very interesting, and this is most people like wanted to see when they wanted to hear about items in this game. Health up S and health up L. This increases your health by 1 bar for this, and for 2 bars for this. Both together give you 3 health bars. And since you start with 3 health bars regularly, you get double your health at the start of the game. Fate time down, it decreases the time you're fainted, and paralysis time can also be decreased. And this is the defense section. Strong Guard and Rush Armor are really great, very good items. It gives you super armor against smash attacks and rush attacks. This one increases your block. I mistaked it. This one makes your guard so you can't be guard broken, basically. This one gives you armor for like smash attacks and rush attacks and charged attacks, depending on which one you pick. This is really good, but and you might think that it's busted good. And while it is a very good skill, you gotta remember that you can that it costs like 15, and that's 15 that you could use to buff stats, right? So usually characters that have this is the only thing that they have. So they're not really that good characters because they just have on-moving super armor against certain attacks. Sunglasses is a very specific skill, one of the worst ones in this game, and it's just that it makes your solar flare not blind anymore. Not that really useful. Sturdy Scatter, I think in this game, I'm not mistaken, characters with Scatter can detect you easier when you blind them, and they can find you faster. But this makes it so that your Scatter can't be removed, so it just makes it easier for people to find you. Basically. It makes it harder for people to get away with Solar Flare, while not being immune to Solar Flare. Beautiful Roll makes it so that you recover faster. Material Power just gives you more defense when you add another item, basically. Depending on the amount of items you have on this list right here, is how powerful Material Power will be. So the more items you have, the stronger you are, basically. There's not really any other item like this. Miracle Power makes it so that you have increased defense when you're at minimum health. Damage Regulator makes it so that a combo doesn't do more than 1.5k. You can't take more damage than a health bar and a half. You just stop taking damage at that point. Health Auto Recover, the best item in this game, in my opinion, in my humble, honest opinion. It gives you health back as the fight goes on, and it gives you a bunch of health, so it's basically a no-brainer to put it on. Moment's Rest, whenever you kill someone, you get, I think it's about 3/4 of a health bar, which is not bad. Mirage is when you block a perfect dodge an attack by perfect blocking it. You dodge every attack subsequent to that if you keep holding the block button. And this one increases your defense every time you lose a bar. You'll notice there's a trend with all the power-ups in this game. There are items that whenever you lose a bar, you get stronger, which is, a common theme. And special are just overall things that buff multiple stats at once. Skirmish is when you're in a clash, you get more hits in, so that it's easier to win them. Power Out of Control, whenever you have 1 health bar left, your power and defense they skyrocket. Indomitable Spirit gives you a buff to all stats by a little bit. Absolute Confidence is basically the same thing, but with a little bit more pep, a little bit more kick. Rush of Fighting Spirit increases your Ki Blast attacks. Emperor's Dignity does the same thing as Rush of Fighting Spirit, but a lot more. And that's about it for the special items. Now the etceteras are just accessories, the ability items that I covered before that give you more limit points for you to make stronger characters, and CPU intellect items. Now, I have heard talk about max computers. These computer items do make a difference. I've noticed that they make a difference in how the fighting type works. But I haven't really seen a difference between max computer and very hard computers. I never really saw a difference, and I don't put them on because of that reason. Because again, items are based on slots, and there's only a limited amount of items you can put on. So if I put on max computer, that's like one less slot that I have to pick from. And if I can't tell the difference, then like what's the point, right? Obviously, the people might be able to tell the difference, but you know, I feel like my word of mouth is pretty valid. I've done a couple of videos on Raging Blast already, so you know, feel free to believe me if you want, but I'm telling you, I don't really see much of a difference. However, you could put it on in order to make space for material power, give yourself an extra item to give you that extra little kick, because accessory items also count towards items in this game to buff that. So that's great. And these really are very self-explanatory. I'll just, you know, I'll just give it to you right here. Just showing you quickly what they do. You can pause and like check them up for yourself, in case you're interested in checking one of these in particular. But these make a difference by far, right? They make a difference. I've seen how they fight, and they make the computers actually fight differently. Not better, but differently. Accessory items. Here we have a bunch of stuff. Some characters have hats that you can knock off. For example, Paikon has a hat. And you can take it off or keep it on forever and not be able to take it off. I can't even move back. You can give characters ragged clothing, or clothing that never runs out. You can give characters a halo and plasma aura. And here we have aura changes. Now you can give almost any aura change in the game to any character in the game, right? And the two exclusive ones for items, which are Red Flame and Blue Flame. Red Flame is kind of broken in this game, not because it actually like buffs your stats or makes it like broken, but because when you actually dash towards an opponent, you don't get a red aura. With Blue Flame you do, not with Red Flame, and I don't know why. But your key still charges like a Red Flame, and it's pretty cool, especially if you play a character like Jace or Sarban, right? And that's about it for all the items in the game. Now, I guess I can show you my Goku. Basically, base Goku is like the starter character. He's very weak in terms of the actual like customs and how they compare to each other. However, base Goku isn't supposed to really like fight. I know I'm fighting right now. As you can see, he's doing pretty bad damage. Normally, even with characters that aren't custom, you do way more damage than this, because I have ability down items that actually nerf my stats. So technically, your power-up character is going to be weaker than most other characters in this game without item. But you need it in order to get the health bars that you can see on the bottom left. So you just make one character like really bad, and the rest of the transformations will have the buffs, and they will have the health, right? Anyways, now let's go to Super Saiyan. Anyway, Super Saiyan is just the all-rounder good transformation. Great attack, great defense, great stats, and great key recovery. As you can see, with like 10 hits, with like one drop combo, I already did 7k, which is more than I did with just one combo with base Goku. I don't think you'll get to see the buffs for Super Saiyan 2, because the buffs for Super Saiyan 2 are the ones that have a condition. The condition is that I have to take damage before Super Saiyan 2 actually becomes good. So you do easily more than double damage just from transforming alone. Which isn't a thing that happens when you transform. In this game, transformations don't actually give you a stat increase. They do increase the key recovery for certain transformations, but they don't actually buff your stats. And they might also make you faster, but they don't buff stats per se. Super Saiyan, you transform at the start of the match. I didn't really, because I wanted to show off base Goku and his damage. But really, at the start of the match, there's nothing really stopping you from transforming to Super Saiyan Goku and then just like throwing down. Because there's not really much of a point staying in base form. It's just way weaker. There's not really any drawbacks with this transformation. I make sure to not give it that many or any ability downs that actually matter. And right now I did take a health bar damage. This is still not enough to make a difference for transforming into Super Saiyan 2. I actually will get weaker if I transform into Super Saiyan 2 and I don't take damage first, which is what I was talking about with the debuffs. If I don't like, meet the condition, my character will be weaker. But there's nothing really, like, making me transform into Super Saiyan 2. So I can just stay at Super Saiyan 1 and just deal damage. And then when I take damage enough for it to make a difference in Super Saiyan 2, then I transform to Super Saiyan 2 and get stronger. So the debuffs, they exist, but you can work around them and you can pick them and make them whatever you want. I took a little bit of damage, so I guess I'll make myself weaker on purpose by transforming to Super Saiyan 2. But again, the real strength from Super Saiyan 2 is the like the damage that you take. And depending on how much health you have remaining, is how strong he'll be. So right now, I am technically weaker than I was when I went Super Saiyan, but it'll change once I actually take damage. And as you can see, my damage output went way down, way down. That's 20k with a finished attack, and Super Saiyan Goku never finished his combo, and he still did 20k as well, so that just gives you a, like, relative gauge to how much more damage Super Saiyan Goku was doing compared to Super Saiyan 2. And after Gotenks, I'll show you Super Saiyan 3. The drawback to Super Saiyan 3 is not health, ironically enough. It has something to do with time. And you'll see what happens when I transform to Super Saiyan 3, which is obviously my strongest transformation with this character. What I like to do is not aesthetic, just keep that in mind. Anyways, Super Saiyan 3 is a powerhouse. His condition is that he needs to be in Raging Soul. Once he's in Raging Soul, look at the amount of damage that I'm doing to a custom character. And he can use ultimates during Raging Soul, which is another item that you can equip. And as you can see right now, a custom Broly got completely destroyed in the allotted time that I was in Raging Soul. He's dead. I killed him. And he's custom, by the way. Extremely powerful character. Now you're about to see the drawback to Super Saiyan 3, which is very canon. When you try to transform back to Super Saiyan, like, to basic Brilliance system you can use, it takes a very long time. Look at how slow my ki's recovering. It is worse than base form. And once I reach catch up with once I reach this state, I can't use high tension. It won't let me transform into high tension. Get out of here! I want to show the audience. Oh yeah, and I also don't have health recovery. Because it's meant to be a transformation that's, like, weak if you lose your Raging Soul. See, right now I should be transforming to high tension, but it doesn't let me. I have to revert back to base, my weakest form, and then, like, transform. But to be fair, and now I'm gonna take a bunch of damage because I'm nerfed, because I'm in base. Right now, I can just do this, I can just go back into Raging Soul and immediately transform to Super Saiyan 3. Now again, the same nerf that I was talking about, where if I go back to regular, like, ki, will take place. But it'll be, I don't think it'll matter right now, because look at the damage that Hot Chef is taking. Yeah, he's dead. Anyways, he does ridiculous damage, but he needs to charge up his ki after he, like, gets beat. And he doesn't recover health as well. You gotta remember that one, too. And, yeah.